Good afternoon. It is Wednesday, the 1st of May, and welcome to Saba's Way of Life. So, I can't believe we're in May, but let me get straight on to what I am doing today, or what I've done today in the kitchen and a little bit in the garden. First of all, I'm making some ghee. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's clarified butter. And for those of you who are not sure what that means, I am making a cooking fat which was and is traditionally made in Southeast Asia, maybe in other areas, but India, Pakistan and those kind of regions, where you would take just to make it easy for you, so if you take blocks of butter and you cook the blocks of butter and you remove the milk solids, which you probably know if you've ever cooked in butter, it kind of burns, and it's the milk solids that burn. So I'm removing all of them by cooking the butter gently so that the curds and whey, some would sink down and others would float to the top, and then you can gently skim it off. You do it on a low heat and it can take some hours. And once that's done, you've got a fantastic medium to cook in, which I would argue is one of the most nourishing fats to cook in, certainly for myself and for my constitution, and probably because of my own genes and my background and so many other reasons. It's also extremely nourishing. It's a wonderful type of fat that nourishes the body and helps me stay flexible. Well, I know it's the fat, the dietary fat that I'm eating that helps me stay flexible, but it's a great cooking medium, and I will talk to you more about the properties of ghee another time. It's becoming more and more popular. So I'm running out of my batch, so I've taken a whole load of unsalted butter out. You can use salted, but then that's just more work to do, more stuff to come out of it. So unsalted butter, and I'll turn this around and just show you. Here we have it. It's cooking on a low heat. And then every now and again, I'm just skimming off. Can you see the beautiful golden, I call it like a golden syrup, but it's a beautiful gold liquid underneath. And you actually don't have to skim off. You can just leave it alone, and these will eventually float down to the bottom and stick. And when they start sticking, which it will anyway, it will kind of caramelize and give it a lovely, lovely aroma, which I always do anyway. So while that's cooking away, I'll be having my lunch. I've got a busy day today, and I'm going to have steak. I have steak probably 3 or 4 times a week because it works for me. I love steak, especially ribeye. So here's a piece of ribeye steak from my family butcher. It's a different family butcher in London, and I buy a whole load, and then what I do is I freeze them. So over here, I've taken that out. It's at room temperature. It's defrosted, room temperature, and I put black pepper and salt, and I am going to rub some garlic, some fresh garlic crushed on top of it before I cook it in ghee. I'm also going to have that with probably some broccoli or something like that, and maybe some sauerkraut or pickled beetroot. The sauerkraut I have, it's made from a red cabbage, and it's now 4 years old and it's still going, and it tastes amazing. I just can't eat too much of it in one go. So that's my lunch. And this morning I had 3 eggs for breakfast, 3 fried eggs for breakfast, and that was it. And that will do me because I really have been feeling a little bit heavy, a little bit foggy minded from eating too much bread and too many chapatis, albeit all homemade. My body's not coping with it very well at this time because I've overdosed. All right, now I'm also going to take you out in the garden and just show you what I've been doing over the last couple of days. Let me just get some shoes on. Right, let's turn this around. So look at this table. First of all, these are all plants that I've bought for hanging baskets. I am going to have a go at creating 8 or 9 hanging baskets, and I'm going to be doing this with my mum. Now here's you see I'm involving my mother because her legs have gone, her knees have gone, and she can't walk. And she's always loved the garden, and she's always loved flower arranging. So I want to involve her. Again, this is so important. If those of you who've got parents and you do things, think about them. Think about living close to them if you can. And I mean, this will give her so much pleasure. So for me, I want to do this, but I want her to get involved, and it makes her feel like she's achieved something. And there's so much reward that you feel inside your heart when you work with your family like that, because quite often we're fighting or arguing with our families. I do that all the time, but there's a lot of love involved in these kind of activities together, whether it's cooking or gardening, or in this case making hanging baskets. And the price, even in some of the cheaper good value stores, has gone up. So it has cost me, but it's far less than buying a hanging basket pre-prepared. It's much better value. And also, if you're someone like me who doesn't spend her money unnecessarily, I do not buy coffees at Starbucks. I wouldn't dare buy a coffee at Starbucks, but I don't buy coffees outside generally at all. It's only if I'm ever out and about, then I'll get one, and then it's normally just an Americano or even a cup of tea. But when you don't have takeouts, because I cook all my food, unless I'm out for the day and we go to a restaurant, but I never order takeouts, never ever order takeouts, because why would I put poison in my body? It's all poison. I mean, you don't know what they've put in it, and if they've cooked it in commercial oil, then you might as well put a lug of arsenic down your throat, which has very diluted arsenic every day that'll eventually kill you off. That's what you're doing. Let's be clear here. You're just eating slow release poison. So going back to the flower arranging, that's what I'm doing there. And then if I take you to the other side of the garden, let me turn this around. You can see here that it's a root day today, and the moon has started to ascend, just started. So it's normally best to transplant in the afternoon and on a descending moon and on the right day. So the day's right, it's a root day. The moon has just started ascending, so I thought, okay, let's do it now. And it's kind of afternoon, but I'm busy this afternoon, so I wouldn't be able to do it later. So can you see these little beetroot plants? I've made enough space in between each of them because I want them to really plump out and grow nice and big. And I've learnt my lesson from over the last 2 years, not to plant them too close together because they just don't have room to expand and grow. And I do like these big beetroots. And what I do is when the leaves start coming out, I start cutting off select leaves, and I have them in my salad because beetroot leaves are delicious. If you make a nice salad dressing, a little bit of olive oil, lemon juice, garlic, oh, it's delicious, with rocket and other bits and pieces. So that's the main thing I've done here. What I've also done is thinned out. So I would even say these are too close together, but I've thinned out these root vegetables and I've put them out at the front of the house in another pot where I had some bulbs. So anywhere I can find space, I'm just planting things out. Incidentally, I just want you to have a look at what the hens are doing. It's been a nice day, and they're mud bathing, so they're in the run here. And can you see how they're mud bathing? And my little hen that wasn't too well the other day, she's perfect. Well, she's the one actually that's mud bathing. She's perfectly fine now. It just took 48 hours. Watched her stools, observed her carefully, and if you look at their little crowns, they're bright red. That's a really good sign that they're healthy. This one, her crown isn't as red, she's a bit pink, so I'm going to keep an eye on her because that gives you an idea of blood flow, and they're generally feeling well if they've got nice pink crowns. Hello. This is an aracuna. The black one is an aracuna. She's a foraging hen and she lays blue eggs. They've got a blue tinge, and when you boil them, they go blue.
is lovely.
That's just a short video for today. I've also want to show you the little patches of grass that I've sowed, and it takes 2 or 3 weeks, but then suddenly everything starts sprouting, and I can just show you now what's happened here. Look, see, look at that. This bit especially, all this lovely grass is growing, so I'm going to give it needs a really good watering, and I water it regularly, and very soon it'll be full. Here's another couple of patches here that I did last week, you may recall, but this will be another 2 weeks. You've got to remember also, this is exercise. It's moving your limbs. It's you're actually engaging in movements that you wouldn't ordinarily. When I transplanted those beetroot, I had to precariously balance myself so that I wasn't treading on any other plant. And there are some carrots in the borders there that I didn't think would germinate, but they have. So I had to precariously balance myself. You need a strong core, and which I'm still working on, and you need strong quad muscles, so you've got to hold your core in, hold your quads in, and that's nature's exercise. You're doing that in the garden and it's working you. The only thing that I would say that you can't really do in gardening is to get your vigorous exercise, which I've mentioned to you before that I do through my spin classes, which really gets my heart rate up. I do that 3 times a week. And even arguably you're doing some weight training in the garden. You know, when I lift bags of compost, they're 25 kilos, I drag them along, but using my core muscles. And I also do quite a bit of weight training in the gym. Well, I've restarted it. I did it a lot last year, then it stopped for a while, but I'm going back to it. Thank God for muscle memory. And that's very important for everybody, but especially of women of our age. You know, I'm in my mid-50s now, and weight training is so important for us. This is where we start losing our bone density, and you don't want arthritis and osteoarthritis and all the other things that come with, that shouldn't come but do come with age, because we're living in a poisoned environment in every way. So that's really important. Gardening is a fantastic exercise because you move in ways that are really unexpected. Let me just show you this wonderful rhododendron that is out here. Look at that. It's all flowering now, isn't it beautiful? And last year this was completely white. This year there's a tinge of pink, which is what it normally is. I don't know why it was white last year, I don't know what happened, but it's looking good. The weather hasn't been brilliant, so they're not standing up, and it's been watered well, it's been fertilised. They're not standing up the way they would normally. I don't know why, but all I can do is put it down to the funny weather. The other thing I want to show you here, apart from the spinach there, is this. This is a Welsh onion, and this you actually eat for its stalks. Now you can see it's already going to seed here, and I'm contemplating whether I'll cut that off. Otherwise the plant might wither off and die when it goes to seed, or leave it and let it dry, so that I can actually collect the seed. But it's so early in the year, it's only May, so I'm going to have to do some research. But these are delicious, these stalks. This one down here, I'm going to cut it off. These stalks are delicious. Just fry them up with some garlic and butter, and they are absolutely delicious. So that's today's video, and have a lovely day. Oh, there's one more thing I want to show you. Let me just go back and show you. I bought these from the garden centre. Look at them. I love wildflowers, but I wanted to get a perennial one. And this is a perennial one called Geum, G-E-U-M, Geum, and it is called Totally Tangerine. And it doesn't like too much sun. It can tolerate it likes partial shade, which is a perfect spot for it here in the bed nearest to the house where we can see it. And I just love the colours. I can't wait to put it in the ground on the flower day, which is coming up, I think, in a couple of days, and alongside other flowers, and that I'll plant oranges and yellows and purples. Just add to your collection. If you're actually someone like me that would rather spend her money on those things that move the heart, that stir the heart, that are linked to nature. I'm really careful, I don't want to spend my money on nonsense, anything that doesn't actually have any meaning. Why would you spend your money on it? That's why I don't go and buy a lot of clothes. I've got plenty, but I always think, what purpose is this in my life? Yes, it's nice to have a few nice clothes, but we have so much stuffed into our wardrobes. My grandmother, my late grandmother, said to me when in India, where she grew up, in North India, she said the concept of having a wardrobe of clothes didn't exist. They would have, they're called joras. They would have 3 outfits. One is one that you would wear, one would be in the wash, and one is just spare. So each person would have 3 daily outfits. Of course, if you're going to some specialist wedding or something, or the darzi, which is a tailor, would make an outfit for you, or you would borrow it off somebody in the village. But you didn't have much, and she always wore white. I always saw her wear white the times that I flew out there when I was younger, and always clean. So one was in the wash, one she put on, and one was just spare in the wardrobe. Why do we need more than that? Just think about it. And she felt it's this sense of absolute freedom. Now, I'm not suggesting you should all have 3 outfits. I'm just trying to get you to understand the thinking behind it, that we have far too much, and it's very metaphorical, too much noise, too many things, too much rubbish in our body, in our brains, in our head. Empty it all out. Take out the clutter. Now, I have a home full of stuff. It's all very, very organised. One could argue that's clutter, but I use everything, especially in my kitchen. But there are many things I'm trying to get rid of one by one, and give them away to people that need them, or charity shops. It just gives you this feeling of, ironically, you feel full. When everything's gone, you feel full and complete. And it helps to empty the mind of nonsense. It's so metaphorical. Anyway, that's it for today. Have a lovely Wednesday, and I'll speak to you again.